Hey everybody, today I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself so that you can have a better understanding of where I'm coming from. When I was younger, I was very concerned with finances. I always was. I remember at 16 trying to make sense of my parents' finances and putting together books and spreadsheets and all this crazy stuff that 16-year-olds really are not very involved in. As I got a little bit older, I encountered some financial hardships. So while I was in college, I worked full time, and along the way, I ended up getting a roommate. That roommate situation went sour pretty quickly, and it put me into a position where I was not able to pay the full amount of rent and also pay the rest of my bills. It got to the situation where I had to make a decision between paying off my debt or paying for the roof over my head. I had tried to get into a cheaper apartment that I would be able to afford better, but the apartment complex wouldn't let me out of my contract. So I was really stuck between a rock and a hard place. And what ended up happening is I chose to pay my rent over a couple of my bills. And then ultimately I got evicted because it just got to the point where I wasn't able to make ends meet. An eviction is terrible for your credit. It goes into collections immediately, and in the meantime I had also put off some of my bills because I was trying to pay the rent. So when I finally got back into a position where I could pay all of my bills and try to get back on track, I had gotten another roommate and actually a boyfriend who I moved in with. So I was a lot better off financially, and I was ready to start paying off my debt. Well, when I called the companies, they no longer really wanted to talk to me about paying things off. Most of it had gone to collections, and it was really just a big mess. I was told by some of the creditors that if I waited for 6 months, then maybe they would consider doing a workout deal with me, because at that point it would be further in the collection process and they would be more willing to negotiate with me. And so I felt like that's what I had to do. I made these deals with them. I paid off what I could as fast as I could, although dealing with multiple creditors at once was really hard because basically my credit was extremely tarnished, and I was getting ready to graduate from college and I was getting ready to marry my boyfriend at that point, and so I really wanted to try to work on my credit. While I was working on my credit and addressing the fact that I was going to start having to pay off my student loans, I started watching the Susie Orman show. Susie Orman taught me a lot about what I call making your money sweat, trying to make the most out of every dollar, putting every dollar in a position that it will do the most for you. Through my experience with watching her show and doing my own research, I realized that I really loved trying to figure out how to make this money work as hard as possible. We didn't have a lot of money still at that point, but I was able to make ends meet. I budgeted down to the last penny. I made sure that the bills were paid. I made sure that I focused my energy on high interest rate loans, and I was able to even pay off most of my student loan debt before I even graduated. In the meantime, my credit was still pretty tarnished. Credit is something that stays terrible for a really long time. The statute of limitations for most things is 7 years. Even though I was kind of forced into having screwed up credit, I've been judged by my credit score and my history for a really long time. I have taken it upon myself to try to teach people how to not get into these situations, and I have furthered and furthered my education because it turns out that not only am I really good at this and I have the ability to really understand where people are coming from, but I really, really enjoy it. My undergraduate degree was in psychology, which I felt just this need to help people. What I didn't realize at the time was that the ability to help people through their finances is incredibly gratifying. There is, a measurable result. When I'm able to teach someone how to use their money in a more effective way, we can actually measure the outcome and produce a result that is gratifying for the client. I can help them on the long term. I can help their kids. I can, just make their quality of life better, or help them to make their quality of life better. and I love what I do. And I really believe that had I not gone through those hardships personally, that I wouldn't be able to understand where some people are coming from and how hard the struggle can really be. I feel like I have the unique ability to not only understand where people are coming from, but also to be able to convey what I've learned in a really digestible format. I hope that you guys are enjoying my videos, and now that you know a little bit more about me, I hope you continue to tune in and give me the opportunity to teach you some of what I've learned.